So hope everybody's having an amazing day so far. And I'm just subbing for Ashley today, sending lots of love to Ashley. And some of the things that we'll be needing today is we'll be needing some blocks or block substitutes. Maybe that's books if you choose. We might need a couple of pillows, some nice pillows, some blankets. So you got a few minutes to go ahead and start getting all of that together. And then we're going to want to set up somewhere near maybe a chair, or if you have a little bit of blank wall space, that would be a good option too. And just a little disclaimer here, remember that this is all about you, and it's not about anybody else. So you have to listen to your body to decide what feels right for you. Just take care of your well-being here, and that includes your body, here at Living Balance and myself as an instructor. We don't want anyone to hurt themselves during our sessions, so just be careful there and really pay attention to your body, making sure that you're not hurting yourself in any way. And we're going to start today in a supported child pose. So depending on your equipment today, it might be a little bit more difficult or a little easier depending on what you got going on. So I'm going to start with a blanket here. My knees don't really like certain things, so if your knees don't like certain things, maybe go ahead and add in some cushion down there. You can also roll your mat up to get a little bit more cushion that way as well. So we're just going to start with some nice firm pillows, or in this case a bolster, and we're just going to bring it up so that way it's resting really close to our belly. And then nice and slow, we're just going to start to lower our body down on our bolster. If our elbows aren't quite making it down to the mat, we can always use those books or blocks to give ourselves a little bit of extra room. Now, depending on how firm your pillows is, this might be a little bit difficult to just do the best you can. It's all about relaxing. It's all about being comfortable. So if at any time it just gets a little too uncomfortable, that's all right. Just back on out of it. Maybe go and lie down directly on your mat, or maybe sit in easy seated or crisscross applesauce. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. Also, another little reminder here, if you're kind of hanging all the way over, we want to avoid any pressure on the neck here. So you can always take a block, prop that up, and then rest the forehead on the block to keep some pressure off of your neck. So that's really important. So I'm not going to do all the poses with us, so that way I can continue talking to you. Or I got my mic today, so hopefully that's working pretty good. So I'm going to bring it a little bit closer to where I am going to be placing my face, and hopefully you can hear it. So while we are in our child pose, we're just relaxing. We're just feeling the breath move up and down the spine, letting go of our day, letting go of our week, or maybe letting go of our year. nice and slow, we're just going to start to walk our hands underneath our shoulders, gently pushing upward, so we're lifting up out of this supported child pose. And then just taking our bolster, we're going to take it out of the way for a couple of minutes or so. Moving any blocks out of the way, and we're just going to come onto the mat. Finding our neutral spine here. Palms stacked below the shoulders, knees stacked below the hips. If we gaze between the knees, we shouldn't be able to see the feet. Fingers spread nice and wide on the mat. Inhale, belly drops. Heart opens as we gaze forward. And as we exhale, pushing through the palm, pushing through the shoulders, rounding out the spine. And just flowing this at our own pace, with our own breath. And whenever we're ready, coming back into the neutral spine and just kind of spinning the knees around so we're kind of on one hip here. We're going to use those pillows or our bolster. And I'm going to start with my bolster kind of high, but depending on what your body says, maybe you might want it a little bit lower. And then whenever we're ready, we're just going to butt this bolster or our pillows up next to our hip so we can gently and slowly just start to roll the upper body down onto that bolster, resting our head on our arm. And it might take a little bit of adjusting to find some comfort here because this is restorative, so we're going to hang out here for a few minutes. And if it feels pretty good, nice and high, or doesn't feel quite as good as we'd like it to be, maybe sometimes we can go a little bit lower and it feels a little bit better. And if your hands kind of hang off and it's a little uncomfortable, you can always use those blocks or those books to support that arm. And then if we want a deeper side body stretch, we can start to carry that right hand over the head, resting our hands together. And again, we're just breathing here. Maybe closing our eyes if we choose. Or maybe just softening our gaze.
Whenever we're ready, nice and slow, releasing the right hand back down to our mat and gently start to push ourselves up just enough where we can get that left hand underneath us and start to walk the left hand back up the bolster. If we choose, we can just turn over to the other side. And we're just going to repeat the same thing on the other side, but so I can stay facing the camera, I'm going to move my bolster towards the back of my mat. And again, we can start out kind of high here. And see how that feels. And then again, if we choose, we can kind of lower that down a little bit. Finding our breath here on our other side. And then again, if we choose, taking the left hand over the head for a little bit of a deeper stretch. Remember, we can always support the wrist and hands, forearms, with a block or a book. And just try to discover yourself relaxing if you can. Because that is what this is all about. It's just relaxing here. Letting go of what you need to. And whenever we're ready, nice and slow, we can just place that left hand down on our mat, pushing up just enough where we can get that right hand underneath us, and start to just walk ourselves up the bolster with our hands. With our bolster pretty much where it is, we're just going to take a block or our books, and we're just going to butt the hip up to where it already is, and then just turning the chest or the heart into our bolster or our pillows. And then resting our elbows down on our mats. This may be a little bit more difficult depending on what kind of equipment you're working with today. So just remember to kind of move the blocks, move the books around, so that way you're making sure that at least the top half of ourselves are being supported on something relatively sturdy. And we can turn away from the side that our knees are on, so we can turn to the right if we want a little stretch in the neck here. And if that gets to be too uncomfortable, just turn back to the opposite way. But either way, once you've gotten settled in to this gentle little spinal twist, just remember to find your breath and to find who you are in this moment. And doing our best to remind ourselves that we're living just for today. And whenever we're ready, nice and slow, we can just start to walk ourselves on back up. And again, I want to keep facing the camera, so I'm going to flip my bolster to the other side. But if you chose, you could just turn sides without having to do as much movement. And then again, just making sure that the hips are butted up to the bottom of the bolster, the pillows. And then just turning the chest or the heart. And again, just remembering if we'd like that little stretch in the neck, we can turn to look the opposite direction of our knees right now. And if it gets to be too uncomfortable, just come back around. And just really bring your intention to letting go. Letting go of any stress that might reside in the spine, any stress that might reside in the neck. Finding those deep breaths in and those long breaths out. You might even be able to hear your heartbeat inside of your pillow or bolsters. And if you can, maybe use that rhythm to let go. Much like a drum. Nice and slow, planting the hands and just gently walking ourselves on back up. This time using a wall or a couch or chair, we're going to take our pillows and we're just propping them up at an angle, kind of like a recliner. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but I have it propped about like that. And using our books or our blocks, bringing the soles of our feet together and just resting those knees here on those blocks. If need be, it can go up higher, it can go down lower. Just remember that the goal here is to allow these muscles to relax. So if we don't have anything here at all, we'll continue to get some working happening here. And we don't want them to work. We want them to relax. So just to remember to support them. And then just taking our time nice and slow, start to recline back. And reminding ourselves to make sure that that neck is supported either by pillows, a bolster, something to keep any strain out of the neck. And hopefully this chair nor your chair would take off on you. If you happen to feel a little bit too vulnerable in this position, you can always place another pillow maybe in your lap or cover yourself up with a blanket here if that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. And if your chair does keep taking off on you, you can always prop your bolster up on a block. Ideally, you'd like to have 3 blocks or 3 bolsters. Just softening the eyes here, softening the eyes, relaxing down the spine, relaxing through the glutes and the hips, relaxing through the chest, relaxing through the neck, relaxing in the eyes. nice and slow, just placing our hands to the outsides of our knees and just helping our knees come closed. Then extending our legs out nice and long, planting the hands, and just starting to shift upward, avoiding adding any pressure to the spine here. And for the remainder of class, we're going to make our way on down to our backs. So if you'd like some water, now's a good time. If while lying on your back it's uncomfortable, you can always start to prop the knees up with a bolster or even blocks, pillows, blankets. And just find your breath and find yourself just here, just in the moment, just on your mat. Being exactly who you are in this moment, in this breath, right here, right now. If you choose, you can start to kind of rock through the shoulders. You can gently nod the head no and yes, letting go of any remaining tension that might be existing in your body. Maybe rocking through the hips a little. And just making yourselves as comfortable as possible. Stretching if we need to. And while we're here, lying on our backs, just start to bring that relaxation and intention to the tops of our heads. Just letting go through the hairline, letting go in our eyebrows, letting go around the eyes and the nostrils. Letting go through the jaw, unclenching the teeth. If we choose, we can kind of gently rock the bottom jaw slightly to the left and slightly to the right. And maybe just allowing our tongue to fall away from the roof of our mouth. Maybe relaxing in our throat. Maybe relaxing in our neck and our shoulders. Maybe relaxing in the biceps and the triceps. Maybe releasing in the forearms. Letting go in the palms and the fingertips. allowing them to curl naturally if they choose. Releasing in the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Releasing in the glutes and the hips. Releasing in our quads and our hamstrings. Releasing in our calves and our shins. Releasing around the ankles, the heels, the arches of our feet, and letting go in our toes. Knowing that for the next little bit, we have made it to our destination. And we don't have to travel any further. Reminding ourselves that it's okay if we have thoughts. We can just acknowledge them and push them aside, because we can always pick them up whenever we leave. Right now is our time. Right now is our body's time. And our hearts know how to beat, and our bodies know how to breathe. And for the remainder of our session together, that is all that we need to do, is just allow ourselves to be. Just allowing ourselves to exist. Nothing to do, nothing to think, nothing to say. So just taking our time, slowly coming back to awareness, simply by wiggling our fingers, maybe wiggling our toes, maybe stretching a little if we choose. And whenever we're ready, and only whenever we're ready, turning on to our left or our right side. And if we have those bolsters or pillows, maybe gently walking them out from underneath us with our feet. And maybe resting our head on our hands. If we're on our left side, our healing side, maybe using this side to remind ourselves to let go of what no longer serves us, to let go of those things that maybe we just can't do anything about. And if we're on our right side, reminding ourselves that it's our side for new beginnings, leaving behind the old self and moving forward to the new. But no matter which side we're on, take a breath and remind yourself that you are enough, that you do enough, and you say enough. So leaving whatever we need to right here, right now on our mats, and pushing ourselves up and meeting in our easy seated. Whenever we're ready, taking our time, inhaling our hands on up. And as we exhale, releasing our hands to the mat behind us, opening our hearts to everything good coming our way, however big, however small, or however difficult to see. And on our next exhale, walking our hands in front of us, reminding ourselves to stay humble, to stay protected, to stay safe. Whenever we're ready, nice and slow, inhale, walking our hands on back up. And inhaling our hands one last time together this evening. Hands together, hands heart center. Thank you all so much for allowing me to be part of your yoga journey. And I'm so happy that you're all a part of mine. Namaste.